Okay, let's begin our journey. We're going to be looking at mystical pressures today, and in looking at these pressures, I'm going to do this in two parts so that I have a chance to really elaborate on these themes. So I will do the lower trigram pressures today, and next week I'll do the upper trigram pressures. I want you to think about something, because it's one of those obvious things in human design, and yet we don't always really grasp it. We are two things. We are a binary, and we're a binary that's held together in an illusion. And it's very important for us to realize that being a binary, it means that the way in which all phenomena operates within us, that all phenomena operates in a binary way. And because there is such a radical difference, and there is a radical difference, and it begins with understanding that the calculations are 88 degrees of the sun apart, there is a radical difference between the potential of the personality and the potential of the design. They're consciousness crystals, after all. We have this assumption that consciousness is a mind thing. It's the way in which the not-self interprets its intelligence. But consciousness is a binary process in humanity. That is, we have a body consciousness. The design crystal takes in neutrino information, translates that neutrino information into the millions and millions and millions of design crystals that are part of your cellular being. And when you think about the mind and the realm of the passenger, it is actually incredibly simple compared to what the design consciousness has to do in being able to maintain the functions of these bioforms on a moment-by-moment, breath-by-breath basis. It is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's so hard for the lay mind to truly grasp the complexities, not simply of biology, the chemistry, to the neural functions, the interrelationships, right down to the miracle of the genetic helix. It's unbelievable, this helix with light trapped inside, and all this incredible information, and all this stuff, and all of it is managed by your design consciousness. It's an extraordinary process for me to teach PHS one night and Rave psychology the next. It's extraordinary. And I've come to understand why I'm the son of the mother. The form principle is so incredible. And it is everything. I mean, it's everything, despite, the personal identified personality consciousness and all of that stuff. Yeah, we'll get there. But the vehicle. See, when we think about magic and mysticism, when we think about those things, we don't think about the vehicle. We think about our minds. It's our mind that is looking for the experience. It's our mind that fantasizes the mystical and the magical. It's our mind, which is nothing. I mean, literally, it is an interactive field within the construct provided to it by the form. By the form. The magic is in the form. When you go back to, the warlocks and the witches, they were all playing with the form principle. I mean, they got it, and they tried to come up with all these ways, that they could, enter into, another plane and have that experience. It's in the body. It's in the body. The magic comes into the body. This is the whole thing. This is the thing that makes strategy and authority So absolutely incredible. Because it's only about the vehicle. It's only about the vehicle. That there is a transformation in the personality consciousness is only a byproduct of correcting the vehicle. And so as we're going to go through this process of looking at these various pressures, and by the time we get through this, I'm going to introduce you to the mystical profile. And the mystical profile obviously is going to be this combination between the personality and the design, in the same way that, your normal profile is. So that there is a way to see in, anybody's basic costume what the potential is when they are correct. And it is, after all, only a potential. I've introduced a phraseology in PHS, which is about predisposition. And it is one of the most important themes for all of us to grasp, because it explains why there will always be those that get it and those that don't. We have a predisposition. We incarnate with a predisposition to differentiate. That is the great gift and promise, is a predisposition to differentiate. But it's limited. It's limited. Those activations that you have, there's your predisposition, but we know that openness is so much more. It's so much larger in that sense. There are so many more places within your body graph that you can be conditioned than places where you can be you. It's a predisposition. And you can see so clearly that when we talk about strategy and authority, we are aligning strategy and authority. It is derived directly from what is active in you. So when you're operating correctly, you are constantly aligning your form to what is correct. The personality be damned, eh? The personality is just in the back seat of the car. And if the car doesn't get to heaven, the personality doesn't get the reverie. And if the car goes to hell, the personality discovers, But the vehicle takes you there. It takes you there. It was a hot spring day in Toronto in 1983. And I woke up in the morning. And I had a media company. And a kind of fast lane life. And I woke up in the morning. And my body took me away. And there is absolutely no other way to describe that. I had no idea what was happening to me. I had no idea what was happening to me. My body took me away. My passenger, helpless inside, is screaming, "What's going on? Are we unhappy? Are we depressed? Why are we doing this? And where are we going? And why are we going there?" I watched my body take me away. It was absolutely incredible. It was also frightening. I had never had such an experience. I did not know such a thing. I had never experienced so clearly that, I was not in control of what was happening to me. It was not like, my passenger was saying, "Well, maybe we should stop and, ponder this," and there's my body walking into a train station, and off I went. It's the vehicle. This is the whole magic. It truly is. See, once the vehicle is really correct, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Because the correctness of the vehicle isn't just simply about being aligned to geometry. Think about your design crystal and the work that it does in maintaining your form. Think about it. The work of that design crystal maintaining your form, if it's maintaining your form incorrectly, it impacts everything. It's not just about where you're going to be. It's about whether you can tell the difference between this and that in what you smell or what you hear. It makes a difference in the way in which your brain functions, literally. It makes a difference in the way in which your pituitary glands operate. It makes a difference in the way in which your thyroid works. It makes a difference in the way your immune system operates. It makes a difference. You're moving away from your predisposition to differentiate. I mean, think about looking at somebody's design and imagine for a moment that everybody truly has the potential of a unique form. A unique form. In other words, your liver operates in a way that's unique to you and different from me. We are all predisposed to meet this place of differentiation. I mean, that's the Holy Grail. This is the long road from Eden. And it's all about the vehicle. So don't get carried away with these themes simply from the personality perspective. I remember when I did this the first time. That is a very different version of this. And it was in Sedona. And it was one of those ironic jokes for me. It was at the time the biggest class I had ever had. And of course it was this deeply fishy, new agey kind of subject, the mystical way and blah, blah, blah. And I did not for a moment enter into what it really meant at the design level. I just fed the themes out and dealt with them only from the personality. It's not what it's about. It really isn't. And they were all pleased, but what to do? Anyway, let's begin. And let's talk about the pressure. And it really is the pressure. The 19th gate is, it's the pressure to see the interrelatedness of all things. It's the pressure to see the interrelatedness of all things. It's the pressure to wonder about the interrelatedness of all things. It's the pressure to receive the call or not in the interrelatedness of all things, and so forth and so on. But this pressure to see the interrelatedness of all things, what do you think's going to happen to humanity when that door shuts? It's not far away. It really isn't. It's right around the corner in our time frame. Think about it. When the 49th gate begins to squeeze off the connection as the mutation takes hold in histidine in the 5549 codon, we're going to lose the pressure to see the interrelatedness of all things. Can you imagine? I mean, the spirit of humanity, whatever spirit of humanity there is, that spirit of humanity is rooted in, some potential of this interrelatedness of all things, that we are all part of the same thing, that we all belong to the same thing. But of course we're entering into an age where humans will not be the story anymore, at least not Homo sapien. And they will not be able to relate at all. It's not it's one of the things about knowing. When you see the future, and it's been an amazing process for me to watch the program and understand what's there, and to see over these 19 years how clear it is, how many things are seen and understood long before they're really recognized. There's an enormous change that's at work in the planet now. And again, the road of mutation is a cruel one. It is. I mean, the whole is not concerned about you and I. It isn't. It's just moving towards its goal, whatever that goal happens to be, the perfection of self-reflected consciousness that's something like 2 billion years away, according to the voice. And we're just caught here in this interregnum, in this plutonic interregnum that began in 1781 and will close in 2027. And all of a sudden humanity is going to lose its fertility and lose its creativity because it's dying. See, we're doing history here. Excuse me, there's not much of future that we're looking at. It's about an 80 or 90 year window, actually, to be honest. Maybe more, maybe 100 years. After all, any being born before 2027, right up until the change, until the mutation takes hold, their lifetime will be the remnant of this interrelatedness. But those who come afterwards, no. And all of the things that the Godhead has stood for, all of the attempts of all of these religions to proselytize and be the only religion, all of these religions that claim that their God is the universal God, yeah, all that's going away. The first line. Fear is the engine of truth. No fear, you never get to the truth. Fear is something extraordinary. And there's truly only one thing that remedies fear. Knowledge. Knowledge. It's the great story. And you can see that as a first line, in speaking of mysticism, spirituality, religion, God, all of these things, at the very foundation, we have fear. To be afraid. It is written in all the holy books. Fear. It's there. This fear of the wrath of God, this fear of retribution, this fear of eternal punishment, this fear of a damned karma, and on and on and on and on. It begins with fear. And you see, as long as you do not understand, the fear can hold you. It can hold you. The beauty of the first line is that it never accepts the fear. It can't. It can't. Otherwise, it will slowly die. It can't. It tries to find its way through. And so at the very beginning, this pressure to wonder or not. And it's all about correctness. That in the very beginning, there is only the recognition of the unknowable, or what seems to be the unknowable, and the pursuit of its truth. And of course, understanding has taken on many guises over our spiritual history. There's all these made-up things, or, well, let's be polite and say inspired fictions about this God and that God, and what they really want, and what they really care about, and who they loved, and who they didn't love, and there's this endless searching for the mystery of God. It's if you draw the proper lines between the stars and the sky, you can figure it out, and on and on and on and on and on. This pressure to wonder. Now, wonder makes it sound beautiful. Right? It does. It is an aspect of this. Obviously, it's its keynote. There is this awe. It's about life. There is this wonder at life. There is this wonder of the natural miracles of life, because they are all, in essence, natural miracles. Those things that happen, you don't know why they happen. there is nothing but wonder. I still wonder deeply about what happened to me and what I experienced. It's an incredible thing. And yet, as a one, it's not enough. The wondering is not enough. The pressure is to wonder, but once the wonder is there, then what? The first line being has to find the truth. It's their job. Get the foundation right. If you get the foundation right, you can build on that. Now let's think about the two sides of this story. Let's say that you're somebody like me who has the first line on the design side. My body has a predisposition to be sensitive to the unknown. My body, not my mind. Not my mind. I mean, you all experience me post-voice. I was never curious. I certainly wasn't curious about all these mystical religious things. Honestly, couldn't care less. I was not in awe of life at all. I was a nihilist. Didn't think it was such a big deal. I thought it was rather poorly put together. And being a non-sacral being, it seemed to me that there, life was either going to be a lot of work and not a lot of pleasure. And that wasn't what I was. It's not where my passenger was. My passenger doesn't wonder. It doesn't. My vehicle is so sensitive to all of that. And it's not, when I talk about my vehicle, I'm really talking about two things. I'm talking about my vehicle's way in which it operates in terms of its specific chemistry. That chemistry that is regulated by the design crystal. Some of us are sensitive to this and that and the other. It's to really understand that this vehicle is designed to be stimulated in that way. And it means that my brain, I'm not talking about my mind, my brain has a predisposition to be sensitive to that unknown. It just does. It's very different than what it would mean if you have a first-line personality. Because you see, if you have a first-line personality, you have a passenger that's in awe. You have a passenger that wonders. And of course, if they're not in the right place, if their vehicle isn't operating the way it should, then it's just the passenger with its mental masturbation and nothing else. The passenger does not rule the life. The passenger does not direct the vehicle. The passenger is not in charge of anything. It is simply a byproduct of the form. And when the passenger wonders, yes, it may be very entertaining. It's true. But it doesn't mean that it leads to a mystical potential. Because the mystical potential is more than simply the way in which your personality is attuned to this pressure. It's the holistic process. It is the correctness of your vehicle first. As the vehicle begins to operate correctly, the vehicle will be, aligning itself to the predisposition chemistry, aligning you to functions that will allow your personality to be able to operate to its full potential. I didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't. And when I think back to my experience, I don't truly remember very much that had anything to do with my mind. What I remember is the physicality of my experience. The deepest memories I have are of what my body felt like, the state that I was in. It was physical. My body went through it all. It was my body. I mean, it's so amazing to me when I think about it, everything about my process. Because after all, I'm somebody who brings a foundation. I'm a messenger of the foundation. And it didn't come from my mind. As my mind, as you'll see, is very good at calling out to others. But that's a reaction to and an opening up of its potential based on what happened to my vehicle. It's the body. It's the body. From the moment that I landed on the island of Ibiza and I was just physically brought here, what was the most astonishing thing was not so much what was happening to my mind, because there wasn't much, truly. What was astonishing, what was happening to my body. I began to fast. Not a mind thing. I mean, I can remember so clearly going to a friend's house. I had been invited for a lunch, and there were a lot of people there. It was a nice buffet. I should have been hungry. My body didn't eat. I mean, it wasn't like my mind was wondering why it didn't eat. It was. My body didn't eat. And that would last 18 days. And about a year later, a similar event for me. And it would last over 6 weeks. My body was changing. It had changed radically. By the time I'd finished the long fast, I don't think anyone who had ever known me at any time in my life would have recognized me. It was my vehicle. And the experience was physical. It is the thing that it was so astonishing for me, was how incredibly physical it was. The pain that came with it, the movement of things within my body, an extraordinary vehicle process. It changed the potential of my mind. I mean, it just changed it. You have to have the right form. It has to be there. I'm not suggesting, by the way, that you go out there and fast. Or this is not about the mind. It's about what happens to the vehicle. It changed me. In 1988, I returned to Canada after having been declared dead. And I had to get a passport because I had burnt all those things. And that was a very comical situation, because I showed up at the passport office and filled out a form, and 2 minutes later the woman came back with a guard and told me that I was dead, which can be delightful. The point of that story, though, is that I went to see my parents, and like all parents, they had been deeply concerned. They hadn't heard from me in all those years. And I showed up at their door, and they were really flipped out. They did not recognize me. My own mother did not recognize me, did not recognize my eyes. I had people, intimate relationships before and after my experience. And afterwards, there was a real discomfort with me. I had a different sound in my voice. It was lower. I laughed differently. The feel of my touch was different. My eyes were different. My vehicle had been altered. It had been aligned, not through what the mechanics teach us. I had been given shock therapy. I had been given 8 days of physical shock therapy. It was the vehicle. It's only now, because of the work that I do, at the level that I teach now, that I'm beginning to understand how profoundly physical that whole experience was. It was incredible. And how little there was in my mind. It was overwhelmed. It was overwhelmed. My passenger didn't quite know what was going on. And then afterwards, slowly, it took 7 years for me to heal from that event, 7 years for my body to recover from that event. And everything opened up. I suddenly discovered that I was capable of explaining anything. It's really quite incredible. I mean, I don't take any credit for it. It's one of the jokes. I wasn't born this way. I wasn't born this way. I did not have the right form. I mean, I was not in the right environment. I did not have the right form. I did not operate correctly. There was no such potential in me. It wasn't like somebody who hears about me as Ra Uru Hu, who knew me in high school, would say, "Yeah, I knew that was coming." That would really be funny. They certainly wouldn't. They wouldn't. It's outrageously funny. It's the vehicle. And I don't want to discount in that sense how important the pressure is for the personality, because it is. There is within all of the 12 profiles, all of the potentials of the mystical profile, where the vehicle is correct, and through its correctness, slowly, adults, 7 years, slowly, and then after the 7 years, the birth and the beginning of the life as oneself, and the alignment of the physical functions of the body to what is correct, to what is to one's predisposition. And then the possibilities are all there. It's one of the things about strategy and authority that is, it's the holiest mantra I know. Because this is the agent. This is the great transforming agent. This is the thing that will make the difference, because it is in the vehicle first and foremost. I mean, just think about it in the context of a life. Just a life. There's these two beings that couple. And in that moment of coupling, you have the initiation of a life. And what's there? The design crystal. And what's not there? The personality. And the design operates all alone. This incredible consciousness vehicle. Designing your form. Getting it ready. The passenger comes in later. It comes in later. And bitches and screams, But it comes in later. It's all set up for it. The damn door is opened up and somebody whistles and the passenger goes, "Oh, I gotta go back again," They didn't have to build the machine. They don't have to keep it running. Now, this incredible thing, this body, absolutely incredible. The passenger is secondary. But when it's all correct, when you have the holistic correctness, then the passenger has an opportunity for transcendence. Truly it does. And it's for the passenger's sake, to know that it's possible, to grasp what it is to be in form, what it is. If you think back to the last 2,500 years of religious thought, you will see that from the time of Homer, son of a bitch, may he rot forever, from the time of Homer, that the form has been put aside in favor of, well, the spirit. I mean, personality stuff, passenger stuff. It's been just like that. It's so interesting for me to see in this day and age this silly novel that this guy wrote, about the Mona Lisa and the female principal and Jesus' bride and all of this stuff. That finally, sort of, the great female powers are slowly beginning to come back. Female yin powers. It's astonishing to me how ignorant we have been of the form. Ignorant. I mean, most of you know I'm not a great fan of Buddha, but at least he understood that the body was important business. The form is extraordinary. And you see, whatever we're going to think about in terms of these mystical themes, I really want you to grasp that in the end it comes down to you being correct so that your form will operate correctly to your advantage. And not just simply because you can, on the surface, these things about making the right decision or, the obvious that your body's going to meet less resistance, so it's going to be healthier. But after all, you have a fractal to have a higher and clearer awareness about the nature of being. I mean, this is what your fractal is all about. And to grasp so clearly that it's only when the vehicle is correct, and to see how important that message is to anyone. Because if you do want to have contact in what's left of this window, our 61-1 window that closes in 2027, if you want to have the best of what's there, your vehicle has to be operating according to what your differentiation is. Otherwise, you do not get to fulfill your purpose. And we all have, at least us as Homo sapiens, at the end of this cycle, we have a right in our correctness to experience the mystical in our differentiation. But it's our vehicles. When I think about the G Center, I have a great love for the undefined G. I mean, you know my design. I'm a defined G. But I have a great love for the undefined G. It has a deep, deep truth within it. That everything is about direction and place. Everything. Everything. Where you are is who you are. And how do you get there? You get there by being correct. There is no other way. There is no other way. And the open G Center is a window to the monopole. It speaks both of the monopole's direction and the monopole's love. And it says that for us, to be in the right place is to be in a place of love. And it goes back to your vehicle. It's not about your mind. It goes back to the body. The body has to take you there. You don't tell it where to go. It takes you. It does. If you think about all the old mystical stories, it's always the one that you would least expect who gets selected by the forces. And it's never been understood that these are the people who are absolutely perfect to be selected, but they're not being selected for their personality. They're being selected for their form. For their form. Consciousness in form. The magic of consciousness in form. How just the movement of somebody's hand who is conscious can create a whole understanding. How much information is there in the vehicle. How beautiful it is. How perfect it is. Okay, if I digress anymore, I won't get through any of these pressures. Let's, to keep that in mind, if you have a first line and it's your personality, then there is this potential in your passenger when your vehicle is correct to truly be able to find the mystical foundations mentally, to penetrate the Maya, to find out the root of the wonder. But if you have a first-line personality and you're not self, it isn't going to happen. It isn't. And it doesn't happen the day after you get your design and you begin your experiment. It's like anything else, it takes time. I mean, for most of you to really grasp that by the time you have your Chiron, and I'm speaking to those who haven't yet, by the time you have your Chiron, you're really going to be ready. Because all of this is designed to be a post-Chiron expression. It's the closing of this cycle. It is the key to the mutation. It is what we are all part of, this process of being able to have the time and the input to bring us to a place of true knowledge and complete our game, complete this Eden round, and allow with dignity the next step to take place. That is the Rave children and the mutated solar plex and a totally different kind of awareness. So the key in looking at any of these pressures is to understand that the personality potential is conditioned by the correctness of the vehicle. And of course, as you'll see, because we know the way that it works. So for example, here, because we're only looking at the lower half, we can take the one example of the lower trigram, the 1-3. And that you can see very clearly that the potential of the passenger to have the transcendent awareness rooted in the wonder, to really be able to grasp the foundations, the vehicle has to be attuned. And if the vehicle isn't attuned, and I'll talk about that in a moment, then there's no great potential for the personality to wonder. The second pressure, I've mentioned it before, that it's clear to me that my mystical experience came through the 40th gate second line. It is a place to be called, and I needed to be called. I otherwise would not have met the experience. The pressure to receive the call or not. Now think about it from the point of view of the vehicle. You know, you're somebody who has a second line design. It means that there is a predisposition in you. in your vehicle, in your chemistry, in the way in which you operate on the physical plane, there is a sensitivity to all calls. All. The call of the gods, the call of the wind, the call of the muse. There is this sensitivity to the call. It's not, the call doesn't come to the personality and the personality picks up the telephone and says, yeah. Here at the unconscious level, the call comes to the vehicle, which means that the personality may not even know that the vehicle's received the call. They have no idea that the vehicle's received the call. I mean, totally confused. I mean, we all know, because of the age that we have been alive, how many people have been messed up on the spiritual, mystical road. How many people have been fried, fried in experiences. Brain fried. Your body receives a call and takes you there, and you don't know what's going on because you're not correct. You haven't followed your strategy. You get smashed. There's such a difference between the way it operates in the body and the way it operates with the personality and ultimately the mind. If you're a 2-4, it's very different, mystically speaking, than being a 6-2. There's an enormous difference. You see, in order for that second line personality to be able to receive the call, its form has to be correct first. And that form is going to be a 4. It's going to be whatever it is, and we'll get there. We have to understand everything about human design is about the form principle and the mechanics. And that we can't get caught up in all the old stories about the personality mysticism, which in fact is what it's never been about. That's secondary. The true magic begins in the body. And the great shaman path, what did shaman do to their, students? They would do all kinds of things to their bodies, give them drugs and, try to change the way in which their physical vehicle operated. It's the body. I found that out the first time I put LSD in my body. Wow, gee, change the body, everything seems to change. This is real magic. Real magic. It's all in the vehicle. And then the passenger gets its opportunity, There, that passenger sitting in the back seat, well, it gets its chance. Oh, I can tell there's calls, And before the vehicle is correct, there's that passenger with its deep limitation of the call. Why do you think it's the hermit? Why do you think there's so many barriers? This is the limitation of the not-self. As I said, at the design level, mystically speaking, the predisposition is to be open to all calls. All calls. I don't know how to express that in a more huge way, because it's absolutely incredible to think about it. And yet, when the vehicle is aligned to the correct place, they get the focus of the specific call that will make the difference for the passenger. But at the unconscious, it is open to anything. And that openness to anything doesn't become, a second line theme at the personality level. It'll be whatever it is, the 5-2, the 6-2, whatever the case may be. And the way in which that personality theme is going to take advantage of receiving the call in the form. In the form. My whole approach to cosmology is to understand that all of the things that matter for us at the deepest level, beyond survival, that we fulfill the potential of our magic, that each and every one of us is not only truly an authority in the sense that, we operate correctly, but that there is this power within us to be clear about the nature of being. And it's all in the form. Cosmology is not just about mysticism, it's about death. It's about the dying process. It's about the bardo states. It's about the vehicle. The vehicle. It's always the vehicle. And the byproduct is the helpless, hapless personality, what it can do with the potential. It's always last to get it. Compared to the design, the personality is really slow. It is. What to do? We all know that from the way in which our minds work. It's just what it is. So we have this pressure to receive the call or not. And in one, it's a form principle. So you don't know you've received the call in terms of your personality. It just comes. And if you're correct, then your personality will operate to its potential. Doesn't know it comes. It's the unconscious. All you can do is follow your strategy and honor your inner authority. And it aligns you to the true potential of your magic. It's so incredible to me. It doesn't matter how deep I go. Day after day in my process, I come back to the same thing over and over and over and over again. This is what the voice gave me. This is what the forces gave me. They gave me the key to the vehicle. The vehicle. I didn't have any philosophy lessons. I wasn't taught about the light. All of that's just a byproduct of the vehicle being correct. It's all about the form. And you have to see the magic in your own lives. It's in your bodies. Please grasp that. It's in your bodies. It's in the way your vehicle operates. It's in the correctness of the way in which your vehicle operates. It's the only thing that brings you to that place. And you see, over and over again in our history, we have all of these personalities who have had experiences. And in having those experiences, nothing was transformed. Nothing. Nothing. You cannot know what it is. You cannot penetrate it. You cannot truly have understanding until you're operating correctly in the form. Because only then does the form open up those synaptic routes, those ways in which your mind has the potential to truly grasp what's going on. It's not ghosts and demons, it's crystals, It's not angels. It's bundles, I think if there's any line that is most deeply connected to the form principle, it's the third line. It is so clear to me that here is this great power It's such an impressive power, this power of the third line. This incredible ability to be able to deal with the dilemmas and the hardships of life. And to fight one's way through it. And there's so many things about the third line that make it interesting. After all, it's the great line of materialism. It is about the material plane. And in that lies its secret in terms of its mystical potential. Remember what the pressure is, to see the interrelatedness of all things. And no other line has this capacity so profoundly as the third line. That is, in beginning with an understanding of it in the design. This third line on the design side, there is this pressure to align oneself, attune oneself to all things. In the same way that the two as a vehicle is sensitive to, ready for, open for all the calls, the three, the magic of the three is that this is a vehicle that can be attuned to anything, to all things, to the connections between them. There is a profundity in that form. You know, I always make a joke about threes, that things bump into them, you know? And things do bump into them. And the fact of the matter is that they are attuned to all this. I mean, they are a link in the interconnectedness, interrelatedness of all things, and if it were not for the three, it would all fall apart. And there's a joke here. At least it is for me. When you think about the six, I mean, if the three is the mother, the six is the father, in the sense that the six, in its deep relationship, in resonance to color, is about light. And the darkness is in the three. And yet, when you think about the sixes, they can't find the light until they start in the darkness. They have to start in the darkness. They have their third line phase. They have to deal with the form. For me, when I look at the third line, at the design side, both my sons are 1-3s. And it's clear, it's so clear to me what is this quality that's there. You can feel it. How, you know, when we talk about the third line, it's lower trigram after all. We don't talk about it as something that is transpersonal, because it's not about one other. It is an attunement that's possible to everything. I mean, to truly, I don't know what language to use, to be in touch with the physical nature of being. You know, the ability to be able to recognize when the form is not right. This attunement is at its heart. And I watch so carefully how this third line body has a way of connecting, affecting the other. How it can both be, there is a kind of helplessness in others when dealing with the third line body. You want to touch it. You want to have contact with it. There is some quality in it that says, this is connected to you. It's so interesting. And yet, boy, do they suffer, those martyrs, don't they? You know, with the mistake business and the trial and error business and the bonds made and broken business and all of that stuff. But this is all through the incorrectness of the vehicle. See, there's a transcendent vehicle that's possible. There is this perfected predisposition to be unique. You come into the world, you got a third line designed. You were born to have this unique attunement to the world around you. It's like having a seventh sense, a feel for the world and others and connections. But it's not conscious, in the sense that it's not part of the mind. It's not the way the personality works. Most 1-3s don't realize, never realize with their first line personality that's lost in wondering about things that do not matter, that their vehicle is open to everything, and not simply open to it, but able to attune to it, to know its nature, to recognize it, to be one with it. All of the spiritual stuff that we can think of. But it's all in the form. I mean, it's very different if you have a third line personality. You know, the third line personality, the pressure to attune is going to be dependent on what your design is. How well that's going to operate or not. It's so different. See, the personality, I watch my mind. It's so stupid. Minds. They are. They can't get out of playing the same things over and over again. It's wiring, after all. It is what it is. It's the way mind works. And it is vigilance, constant vigilance, that keeps the mind in its place. For me, that is simply following my strategy. I am like you. It is just a matter of strategy. But I see the limitation of it. See, the only time that my mind has any value at all, is right now. Yeah. When it isn't occupied with me, my life, things that are going on, blah, blah, blah. When it is liberated from that, when it does what it does best, lay out this and that, tell it as it is, whatever it is. Do that mind job. But in about an hour, when this class is done, and I'm no longer in this environment, I will be back with mind. It'll still be there, still scrunching around in its awkward process. See, I'm not here to glorify the personality. It's not my job. This has been going on, this big massage has been going on for thousands of years. And in the end, it is not what it's about. I'm so grateful that my body brought me to this potential of awareness. I do not have any gratefulness to my mind for this. It wasn't going to do that. It is not capable of that. It can only take advantage of the environment it's endowed with, the environment it's given, and nothing more, nothing less. And, and this week has been an extraordinary week for me as a teacher. And it's reaffirmed for me in the deepest possible way that if we do not focus on the form and the correctness of the form, the rest of it is just not going to happen. As I watch myself as a messenger, It's my job, after all. And when I had my experience, I was surrounded by people who had gone through all kinds of searching processes. And the dialogue was personality dialogue. And it was all about enlightenment. That was the big hot button word. And in the beginning, there was a part of me that wanted to satisfy that yearning. And I realized that in order to reach the potential market that was there of beings that could be impacted, that's what they wanted to hear. About enlightenment and awareness and awakeness and all of these things. It was the hook. It was the hook. But it's clear to me that the best way to move this knowledge in the world is to tell people that it makes them healthy. Because it does. It'll move this knowledge more powerfully in the world than any pretension to the potential of awareness. It isn't to say that awareness is not an incredible byproduct of this process. It is, and you all know that. But you see, the truth begins with the form. And that the passenger, the not-self passenger, is not ready to be awakened. They're not. This is a planet of dense ignorance. They're not all waiting to be awakened. These are not personalities that are looking for anything. But their forms are a mess. They're just a mess. And they can be fixed so easily. They can be aligned so easily. And it is this transformation of the form that brings about, well, the real reward. See, this is a mystical course. We're coming to the end of the cycle of planning. We're coming to the end of this. For me, this is the return to Eden. It's what I've called my Ibiza events for years. Package tour to Eden, come back to Eden. And it's not that Eden where it started, metaphor. The Eden of go forth and multiply and find knowledge. We've been doing that for a long time. About 17,000 years in this round. Long time. And now we're getting to a point where we can't reproduce anymore because we've reached our peak. This huge bubble of beings on this planet. And remember, at least a third of the people you know are in their last incarnation. Think about that. There's a lot of last chance, last dance in this movie. And it's not about hearing another "this is the path to awareness" story. There's zillions of them. Zillions of them. All these different concepts and techniques and ideas and dogmas and all these other things. And it is so simple. The key is so simple. And your focus in those beings that are on your fractal. I can't do it. I can only do what I do. I do not have your geometries, your fractals. There are those who stand in line and wait for you. And the thing that has to be placed deepest within them is that this is about the vehicle. That honoring their strategy and authority is not just about, one day I'm going to be awake. Or this is the way, It's about first being healed. Physically healed. Having their bodies tuned and allowing them to move towards what is their predisposition. It's why it takes time. The conversations that I have had with people in design through their process, how extraordinary it is. And the dialogue with those in my life who have been through the 7 years. For them, yes, they recognize the transition. For me, it's enormous. I look at them differently. They see themselves every day. And it's their vehicles that are doing that. It's their bodies. It's the hormones. It's the chemistry. It's the biology. It's the vehicle being correct. You have a chance. Everybody has a chance to refine their vehicle to what is correct for you. And then wait. And wait as a passenger. Because as a passenger, it will all open up. It does. And then you begin to be aware in a way that is correct for you, that allows you to fulfill your potential. Whatever that potential happens to be, whatever that purpose happens to be. And it's not like it's a guarantee that you're going to have some kind of extraordinary mystical process. As a matter of fact, that's the anomaly. Events like mine. That's the desperation, if I can put it that way, of the forces to try to get the information across. Somehow, from that plane to this. Real magic is moment by moment, breath by breath, all the time. This passenger, when it can finally sit back and just relax, and enjoy the opening up of the potential. It's there. They suddenly realize that in the back seat there's a good stereo system and there's lots of interesting things and blah, blah, blah that they never noticed before. There's all these new little add-ons and stuff that are suddenly there within the way in which they can operate. Their awareness expands. Their consciousness is transformed. See, most people in the long run in design assume that, where they have reached intellectually is the byproduct of their study, their involvement, rather than seeing what is the root. Their brains are operating differently. They've been changed. Their bodies have changed. It doesn't mean it has to change on the outside. Some people it does. Other people it doesn't. It's about the holistic vehicle. This whole vehicle. And the magic of the design crystal. Such a magical thing. This incredible consciousness. Throwaway consciousness. Can you imagine throwaway consciousness? You're only going to get this vehicle now. No one is ever going to ride it again. At your death, your design crystal latches on to its monopole, and that's it. They have their eternal loving embrace. Nobody's ever going to sit in that box again. It's a throwaway. It's this possibility, this time. It's a mutative process. It's an ongoing form mutation process. It's so magical. And the design, without having all of this passenger stuff of being able to look at itself and think how terrific it is, it just does its job. Doing whatever it can, given the circumstances, to try to differentiate your form. It is not natural, and it is not normal for human beings to wake up. It isn't. You can see that. Look around you. It isn't. But it is absolutely essential as part of the nature of this larger mutation, that there are those who do. It is the justification, in a way, if I can put it that way, for such a long process, so many thousands of years. You don't want to know the nature of incarnations you've had before. You really don't. You don't. It's a hard, long road to perfect the vehicle. And mutation is ongoing. It wasn't like one moment you have the neocortex and there's a sign that goes up and says, okay, we've achieved this, that's it. It's all endlessly in this mutative process as we move in space. The body. This is the holiest thing of all. It's so wonderful. And you see, your body, this is truly your temple. In a way that I hope now, in a sense, that you can really understand. It is an enormous gift. Incredible gift. This is what it's all about. We get a chance to ride in one of these things. Absolutely fantastic. The most important conditioning in this life is to condition other people to try to operate correctly. It's kind of a cute joke, Condition them to take the risk. And of course there is no choice. So it's not like they're choosing. There will be those that are there, and it will be what they're waiting for. And there is this extraordinary opportunity to really be of service to others. But I want you to focus on their forms. I want the balance to be there. The balance needs to be there. If they can live in their form correctly, they can also die in their form correctly. And we can go through a personal cycle that's perfect. Perfect. Because there is nothing that we can compare it to. And for me, this is the movie. This ongoing perfection of the form. When I began the IHDS programs, there was a place inside of me that had doubt. Passenger, typical passenger. Because of course I have an unconscious mind. And I have no idea what's there. And it's not like, I got it all, written out in notebooks. And I discovered something the moment I started. I feel like I just began. It's absolutely amazing for me. I mean, I have far beyond what I'm teaching. It's my own process after all. There are things that I have come to grasp I did not think. I didn't even know that it could be grasped. It's astonishing. It has nothing to do with me. I mean, I know that. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like the Rave Ching when I wrote it. It wrote me. I did not write it. It just came out. It just came out. It came out of my form. It didn't come out of my mind. I didn't think what I was going to write any more than I think what I'm going to say to you. So this is all my form. And the freedom. This great word, eh? Oh, I've never been so free. I've never been so clean. I've never been so grateful. And I only look one place. I look at this incredible vehicle And I finally understand. It's the vehicle. It's nothing else. Everything beyond the vehicle comes naturally, in time. But it's the vehicle. If we honor the vehicle, this is the story. You honor your vehicle, and the mystical is something that can be a natural part of your life, breath by breath by breath.